Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about the NATASHA Denona Mini Retro Palette. This is her latest and I ordered it off of the Sephora site. It is $25 and it comes with 5 different shades. So we are going to be doing some swatches. I'll be giving you my thoughts on this palette and I'll be doing a little demo of this eye look at the end of this video. So why don't we start off with some swatches. So what I've done is swatch them basically from left to right. And starting from the left, we have Galaxia, which is a chroma crystal shade. Then we have Industrial, which is a metallic. Then we have 60s, which is a creamy matte. Vintage Taupe, which is a creamy matte. And then finally we have Pkwy, which is a metallic. So this palette was made in Italy. It is paraben free, it's not tested on animals, and it has a 24-month shelf life once it's been opened. So I just want to start by saying I really like the quality of this palette. I think when it comes to the mini palettes from NATASHA Denona, some of us may have had some less than awesome experiences with them, especially the ones that she came out with in the beginning. I do feel like the quality of those were different from her regular 5-pan shadows, from her regular 15-pan shadows, from her 28-pan shadows. They were a little bit subpar, I want to say, but I do feel like the more recent releases have been great, like the Mini Glam I thought was really awesome. So I find the quality in this mini palette to be what we've come to expect from NATASHA Denona. Just really smooth, really creamy, really pigmented, very blendable. They work really well together. So I personally have had really good experiences with this little mini palette. I've played with it twice now. This is the second look that I've done and I'm really happy with it. And I really like the color story in here. It's very soft and you have, 2 mattes, you have 2 metallics, and then you have this one chroma crystal shade, which I used in my inner corner. It's the shades from NATASHA Denona, which are a little bit, chunkier. They're a little bit shinier. They have a little bit more impact than like her metallics. There's a really nice range of finishes. Basically what you've got going on in this eyeshadow palette is just like a baby pink and then an olive tone. I think those 2 shades work really well together. I don't think that you need anything more to create a complete look. The look that I did today, I think, is a really nice use of all of these shades, but I think if you wanted to do something smoky, you could really focus it here, or if you just wanted to do something really simple, you could just throw on maybe this shade all over your lid and be done with it. Maybe just throw on some like liquid eyeliner. So even with just these 5 shades in here, I think you could actually get quite a few different looks, which is really nice. I did want to do one comparison swatch to this mini palette, and that is with her regular 5-pan palette, the number 8. And I depotted it, so it's in this little Makeup Forever tin, but it's this guy down here. And I thought that they just were very similar, kind of in my mind's eye. And when I whipped it out, I was like, you know what? They are actually pretty similar. Hold on, let me just, yeah, there we go. So I swatched the Mini Glam across from left to right, and then on top of it, I swatched this 5-pan palette from left to right. But I will say I saw 2 shades in here that were very comparable. The most similar, I would say, is the middle shade in this number 8 palette is pretty much identical to this Pixie shade in the Mini Glam palette. So those 2 shades, very similar. The slight difference is the one in this number 8 shade. You can even probably see it in the pan. It just has a little bit more of like a golden sheen to it versus the Pixie in the Mini Glam. But swatched, I think they look very similar. The other shade I thought was very similar is this shade in the number 8 palette and the matte shade, the center matte shade in the Mini Retro. So this is a creamy matte, and then I believe this is a metallic shade over here. So the finish is a little bit different, but the color is like almost identical. So when you swatch them out, I do feel like they look very similar. Other than that, there really aren't any kind of like direct similarities, but I do feel like the feel of the number 8 palette is very similar to the feel of the Mini Retro. So if you have the number 8 5-pan palette, you may not need this Mini Retro palette. They're not exactly the same, but I do think they have a very similar color story and you're going to get similar kind of like eye looks out of them. What I do want to mention though is this number 8 palette that I have is like the old one. I think she's like reformulated some of the 5-pan palettes. So this one I got back in, I think 2014. So this is really, wow, this is really old. This is really old. So this is like the original. And I think you may be able to see on Temptalia. I think you guys all know Temptalia is this blog that has like swatches of absolutely everything. But I think she may have the old and the newer version on there for comparison's sake. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that to you, that I have the older one, the one from 2014. Jeez. So I think that's all I have to say about the palette before we get into the demo. I really, really like it. I think it's very, very pretty. I think if you like this color story, you're going to like this little mini palette. I really like the size of these mini palettes from Natasha Denona. I'm not someone that pans eyeshadow I was going to say often, but really ever. So the size of these pans for me are just really, really ideal. So that's it. Let's go ahead and jump into the demo. I'm going to start with this matte color here. This is the Vintage Taupe Creamy Matte color. And I've got my Sonia G Worker 1 brush, and I'm going to brush this all over my lid, starting from the inner corner here and brushing out. And you can see it's a little bit deeper than my skin tone. And I'm placing most of the pigment on the inner corner here. I'm just kind of brushing the extra over towards my outer corner. And then I'm going to take my Rephr number 2 brush. This is like a flat shader. And I'm going to go into Industrial, which is like the green metallic shade in here. And I'm going to focus this shade on the outer corner of my eyes. And to minimize fallout, I'm going to press this shadow onto my lid, not using really strong swiping motions, just kind of pressing. And I'm going to take my Sonia G Detail Pro brush and just kind of soften the edges a little bit. And I'm going to take my Sonia G Blender Pro brush and go back into this Vintage Taupe matte color and use this to blend out this top edge here a little bit. Next, I'm going to take Pkwy and I'm going to focus that onto like the center portion of my lid, and I'm going to use another flat shader. I'm going to use my Sonia G Builder 3 brush and just place that again on the center of my lid here. And then I'm going to take my Sonia G Pencil 2 brush and go into Galaxia. This is a Chroma Crystal shade, so I think it's going to be nice for the inner corner tear duct area. And then last but not least, I'm going to take my Rephr number 3 brush and go into the matte olive shade, which is called 60s. And I'm going to use this to line my upper and lower lash line. All right, that's it for the eyeshadow palette. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up my look and I'll be right back. All right, guys, here is my final look. I'll have all the products that I have on my face down below in my description box. And I'll also list the brushes that I used to create this look if you are interested. Oh, I do wanna mention that I did add a little bit of the green metallic shade, a little bit more onto my lids, because once I put the mascara on, I felt like the depth of that green just wasn't enough. So I added a little bit on, and now I'm really, really happy with like the dimension that it's giving my eyes. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.